Bienvenue tout le monde sur les tutos de Vito, cette chaîne qui vous remet à l'anglais avec un nouveau format que j'ai testé la semaine dernière qui vous a beaucoup plu, alors j'en fais un deuxième et j'en referai beaucoup d'autres. Format podcast vidéo compréhensible. L'idée, c'est de vous faire entendre, de vous immerger dans un bain d'anglais, mais pas n'importe quel anglais, un anglais qui sera facile à comprendre parce que je vais parler lentement, distinctement, de façon à ce que chacun puisse être en réussite et suivre. Et j'ai adoré dans les commentaires du podcast précédent, beaucoup d'entre vous m'ont dit « c'est la première fois que je comprends autant d'anglais sans m'arrêter sur une longue durée ». Et ça, je crois que c'est ce qui me fait le plus plaisir. Donc, on continue avec un deuxième podcast, tout en anglais. Here we go. Right, thank you very much for joining me. I am Vito, but my real name is Stephen. You can call me Vito or Stephen. It doesn't matter. I'm happy with both names. And I am an English teacher. I teach every day English to anyone. I have teenagers, students, I have young adults, students as well, and I have you on my channel. So be very welcome. Today's podcast will deal with climate change. So today's topic is climate change, or we can call it global warming. You have suggested in the previous episode, you have suggested that I could speak about global warming because this is a very important subject, something that affects the entire planet, something that affects people like us, humans, but also animals, nature, and basically our future. So this is a very serious topic. And I will try to explain what it is and what the consequences could be for us. But first of all, I think we should be asking ourselves, what is climate change? How can you see it? And what is happening right now? And also what we can do about it. Do we have a responsibility? Is there something we can do to fight climate change? Well, let's find out. Right. Before we start, just like I did in episode number 1, I'm going to explain a short list of vocabulary that will be useful in this episode. Number 1 is climate. You can repeat after me, climate, climate. Climate is the general weather of a place, but for a long time. Okay, it's the general weather, temperatures and weather. Number 2 will be global warming. Global warming. Global warming. Global warming is when the Earth, the planet Earth, becomes hotter and hotter year after year. Okay, when the temperature rises, when the temperature increases, right? Another one is greenhouse gas or gases. Greenhouse effect. So the greenhouse gases or the greenhouse effect is when gases like CO2, for example, traps the heat of the planet, and the heat cannot dissipate. So the temperature under this greenhouse, under this roof, gets hotter and hotter. Next one is renewable energy. Renewable energy is the energy that can be created, that can be produced again and again. It's unlimited energy, like solar energy from the sun, or wind energy, or water energy. All right. Then we've got the carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is, well, basically the total amount of CO2 that we produce as human species. We produce CO2, and this is called the carbon footprint. Okay, this is the amount of carbon that we produce. And we'll finish with an adjective that is very important and that you will hear in this podcast. And this adjective is sustainable. Sustainable. Sustainable means something that can continue without destroying the planet. Something that can be continuously used. All right, without harming the planet. Okay, so far, so good. That was the key vocabulary for this podcast. Now, let's move on to our first question. And that first question is, what is climate change? What is global warming? Well, chances are that you recently witnessed change. The Earth's climate has been changing over the last few years. But today it's changing even faster than before. The average temperature on planet Earth has increased by 1.1 degree since 1800. That's a lot. And this information comes from the IPCC. The IPCC is the Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change, so which is a group of scientists, like professionals, from all over the world, and they calculated that the temperature has risen by 1 degree, okay, which is a lot. So why is this happening? Well, it's quite easy to understand. It's because of greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect. You know, the thing is, we humans, we produce energy. We burn, every day we burn fossil fuel, like oil or coal, and also gas. And this releases carbon, CO2. It releases CO2 into the air. So CO2 is a greenhouse gas. And what it makes is that the CO2 creates like a blanket, like a roof above our heads in the clouds. It creates a blanket that keeps the heat inside, that prevents the heat from dissipating into the atmosphere. So the planet becomes hotter. That's quite simple to understand. Right, now that we have explained global warming, we need to give evidence of climate change. How do we know that climate change is real? And before I go into more detail, I'd like to say that this is my point of view, and people will not agree. I'm not here to impose my point of view. I'm just here to give facts. And if you do not agree with me, please say so in the comment section. I'm open to discussion. I'm open to debate. But I will try to stick to scientific facts. All right? I'm not a specialist. I am a citizen, just like you. And these questions concern everyone. So yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. So, what do scientists tell us? Well, they give us many facts. Fact number one, observation. Let's talk about glaciers. Glaciers are melting. They're melting. In Greenland and Antarctica, billions of tons of ice disappear every year. That's a fact. Number two, the sea level is rising. And that's a direct consequence. Since 1900, sea level has risen about 20 centimeters. This means that coastal areas are more likely to be flooded. Okay? Floods, when the water comes inland, floods are an imminent disaster. Observation number three, heat waves. That cannot be denied. Heat waves are stronger and longer. That's a fact. In Europe, I heard that this summer was actually one of the hottest summers on record. It's a sad thing to say, but summers are getting hotter and hotter, and everybody can feel it. Last observation, not just summer, but extreme weathers are increasing. Again, more hurricanes, stronger storms, more and more droughts. A drought is when there is no rain for month and month. So when everything is dry. In French, we call it sécheresse, drought. And also more and more wildfires, which is so dangerous. Remember Los Angeles last time? Hollywood was ravaged, damaged by wildfires. So yes, the science is very clear. Climate change is happening. All right, now let's move on to another point, and that is a worry. It's the consequences of climate change for society. Because, as I told you before, climate change not only affects us as humans, but also nature. So it has a direct impact on the way our society functions. Food is one of the biggest issues. Farmers have problems growing crops like cereal, because the weather is too hot or too dry or too wet. So it becomes more and more difficult, more and more challenging to be a farmer and to grow crops to feed the population. Number two, there's also a health problem because heat waves kill thousands of people every year, and especially elderly people who suffer from the massive heat waves, especially during the summer. The economy, like global economies, suffer from disasters. It costs billions of dollars every year, and that's a direct consequence of climate change. And also, of course, and I should have started with that, migration. People lose their homes because of floods and droughts. They must move to safer places, new homes, new countries. And they're called environmental migrants. And the United Nations says that if we do nothing, by 2050, millions of people will become climate refugees, not just environmental migrants, but climate refugees, people we will have to take care of. And that is something that we must bear in mind. Now, what are the positive actions and the solutions that can be brought? Well, good news, there are solutions. We can do something about it. We have power. It's still very limited. And the big problem is that time is not on our side. It's really time to act on an individual basis, but also collectively. The first thing that comes to mind is renewable energy. Why don't we use the sun or the wind or the water to produce energy? Of course, we have solar panels and windmills and so on and so forth, but it's still probably not developed enough to fight climate change. We can also reduce fossil fuel by driving less, using public transport, or probably choose electric cars, which I am not convinced that's something that is so clean. I don't know how you feel about electric cars. Perhaps that could be the topic for another podcast, but I'm not sure this is the best solution because, you've got huge batteries, and what are we going to do with these batteries once they're dead? Anyway, that's another debate. Planting trees because they absorb CO2 and they give us back oxygen. So that's something that reforestation is an issue, and this deforestation is another one, but reforestation is something that I strongly believe in. Just because, especially in cities where heat waves are felt even stronger, and also perhaps more on a political level. You know that in 2015, developed countries signed the Paris Agreement. And the goal was to keep the global temperature rise below 1.5 degree compared to the pre-industrial period. But as we know, countries sometimes struggle to respect the Paris Agreement. I say struggle, sometimes it's political action that lacks incentive, that lacks power. But that's another way to fight climate change, is by electing the right people and finding political leaders who really think this is a top one priority. And perhaps to finish off with this topic, and this is a question that I often ask myself, and perhaps you ask yourself this question too. Perhaps you're wondering, can I really make a difference on an individual basis? What can I do as a citizen? I am just one person among billions of others. And how impactful can I be? And the answer is probably yes, you can. You can have an impact on climate change on an individual basis. Because if millions of people change small things, the effect becomes big. But that involves and that requires to be aware of it and to take action. I don't know, like buy local food and probably go for organic food. Try to limit the use of plastic. Talk about climate change. Read about climate change. Try to get informed and try to understand the big issue so that you can have a better impact as an individual. I really think that change starts with awareness, especially for younger generations. And I think our younger generations become more aware of what is at stake. And I guess that if we understand the problem collectively as well as individually, we can probably act together. Well, maybe I'm a bit naive, I don't know. So that's it. That's all I have to say about climate change. I didn't go very deep. I just tried to explain my perception of this issue. The future is in our hands. That's one thing that I'm sure of. The future is in our hands, and probably in our children's hands, first of all. And I am convinced that together we can build a sustainable world. A world in which we can live together without wasting our planet. So thank you for listening. I hope that you have learned new English words and new ideas, and I really hope that you are convincing yourselves that you can understand English. And as I'm talking to you, I am 100% sure that many of you are realizing that learning a language is all about listening to comprehensible input, something that you get, something that you understand, because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel competent. And that's the beauty of languages. I'm looking forward to making another podcast. Please leave me your suggestions in the comments. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know how well you understood me. Let me know if I speak too fast or too slow, but it's never too slow. Let me know what topic you would like me to cover next time. Until then, I'll see you around and you take care. Bye-bye. Cheers. Oh, and I almost forgot. I have also prepared a quiz, a comprehension quiz. If you want to take that quiz, go down in the comment section and click on the link. That's That's it. Thank you. Bye bye. Cheers.